Hi folks, CodeTutor here and my name is Anil Deshpande. Welcome to the next video on Jetpack Compose. In the previous video, we implemented this UI using combination of rows and column views. So all the UI elements, that is text or a image, they were basically put either in a column or in a row, and then you decided the length and width by some of the default mechanisms that are available using the modifier, and you were able to basically create that particular UI. You can clearly see there is a problem. One is rows and columns are not adding anything in terms of the feature. They are just containers to hold or arrange these UI elements in a particular order. And if the overall UI becomes more complex, then you will end up doing lot of nesting, and that will impact the UI performance. There is a way to solve this particular problem, and that is constraint layout. So let's understand how constraint layout basically works. Well, the first thing is you create the references to the composables to be used for building the UI. What do I mean by references? Think of them as IDs to the UI elements that you want to use in your layout. For example, each of these things can be referred using certain name. So in a way, they serve like IDs to the UI elements that you will be laying in your layout. You may be wondering what will be the outermost section of this UI layout will be called. Well, the composable usually refer to them as parent. So the outermost layer is the parent. And then comes the third part, which is how do you establish the relationship between these UI elements? Well, you use references to establish the relationship relative to other references. Now, what do I mean by that? For example, let's consider the very first element, that is flag, which is a image. Now, if you have a look at how this would be implemented using the constraint layout, this is how the code would look like. Some of it you are already familiar with, but we will concentrate on using the references. If you see here, the flag reference that we have created will be used along with this lambda function that can be passed to the modifier called as constrainAs. So what you are basically saying is this image element that you are creating, it will be referred to using this ID called as flag from now onwards throughout the process of UI building. Now, once you set that ID to the image element, then inside the lambda, you write the logic of how do you want to set this particular flag with respect to the layout that you have decided. And if you see what I have written there, it is top link to, that is flags top should link to the parent's top, that is this part, and then start, that is start of the flag, that is the extreme left edge of the flag image should align with the parent's start. And that is how I set the first element in the layout. I can use the same methodology to set the remaining elements. For example, if you look at common name is also having a reference, that is common name, and we are using that as a parameter to the constrainAs lambda function. So once we have set the ID common name to the text element, inside that lambda body we set the logic of how do we want to set it. So the first line top dot link to, that is common name's top, is aligned with bottom of the flag. Start of common name is aligned with the start of the parent, that is parent dot start, and then you want to decide the width of this text. To set that text width, we use end, that is end of common name is aligned with the end of the flag, and that is how you basically set your layout. You will get a better idea once we actually do it live. So let's get into a demo. This is the existing UI that we have already built, and this is the country card. I would rather create a completely new card. We will start creating the layout. So let me create Kotlin file. Country card with constraint layout is the name of the file, and in this we will create our composable, and under composable function it will take a country info as the argument. So that's a composable function. And first thing I will have to do is add a constraint layout. Well, if you see here, I am not able to add this particular constraint layout because you will have to add a dependency to be able to use this particular constraint layout. So in that case, let me add a dependency here. Let me open build Gradle file, add the necessary dependencies, and let me sync it. And now if I do this, I get the constraint layout, and this constraint layout takes modifier. So this is the outermost boundary of the card that you are building. So modifier dot, once again, wrap content height. You don't want to set the height. It should basically wrap whatever that you place inside it. And then fill max width. You want to take the full width. If you want to add some padding, you can add that as well. So let me add 2 dp to get started with. And now the first thing that you want to do is create references for all the UI elements that you are going to place under it. So let me do that. For that, I use this something called as create reference. It creates constraint layout references. There is another version which is called as create refs, which creates multiple references. So I will rather use this and then create various references. For example, flag, common, name, capital. These are the first 3 things that we want to place. The first thing that we will do is set the flag. So to be able to do this quickly, I should be able to copy paste the things. So let me keep it side by side. The first thing that I need is this image. So this is the image. Now I will also have to do the modifier. So modifier dot, what is the maximum width that you want to take? So fill maximum width. Once again, you can pass the fraction, say 3f here. Height, say around 70 dp, and then padding, let me give some decent padding. And then comes the actual part where you start using the features of the constraint layout, that is constraint as. And I want to constrain as flag because I want to keep referring to this particular image UI element using the id flag. And then you have to pass the parameter. So how do you want to set this particular flag? So top of this particular flag should link to the parents top, and then start of this particular flag should link to the parents start. So this is the starting point. Now what I will do is I will set this here. I will set the constraint layout. You can see that flag here. So let's continue. After the flag, we want to place the text, which is common name of the country. Then once again, you have to pass the modifier. We already have it, constraint as common name, and then the lambda. And how do we want to set it? Set it as the top of this should link to flags bottom. Start of this common name should link to parents start, and the width, the extreme right side of this particular common name should link to flags end. That should give me the next element. And if you go here, yeah, the next element is also added. Now let's go to the third element, which is this. And once again, the only thing that we would like to modify is constraint as capital, then pass the lambda. How do we want to constrain this? We will say start of this should link to the parents start. And now if you immediately see this, this is how it looks. This is not what we want. This should come below India. So we will go back here. Top of this capital, that is top dot link to, should come to common names bottom, and then end should link to flags end. And now if you look at it, now this is coming correctly. So I will do the remaining things much faster. That brings us to the end of this particular video. Don't forget to like, comment, share the video and subscribe to the channel. Take care. Bye.